Hey guys, this is Edwin here from the Recording Connection. Excited to be hanging out with you guys once again, going over mixing live drums. Now, before I go in depth into what I mean by mixing live drums, electronic drums, etc., I want to talk to you guys about the importance of these hangouts. What do I mean by this? Don't see this as you're just surfing over the web, you're just gonna see the video once and that's it. No, like really use it to your advantage. It's amazing the tools that we have nowadays, by just being able to have just YouTube, being able to research. I feel like there's no excuse nowadays, feel free to always rewind, take your time with it. This by no means is a one-time kind of pass thing. I want to stress that to you guys. Also, any questions that you guys have, feel free to go, ask. At the end of this episode, I'm gonna go over all the questions that you guys have in great detail. Now, going into mixing drums, this is a sweet spot for me, given that I am a drummer, and I'm gonna go over everything from getting rid of the boxiness. One of the key things about mixing drums is your overheads, giving that feel of a room. Instead of just adding a reverb and calling it a day, no, using your overheads to your advantage. Also mixing the kick and the snare, the importance that has towards your vocals as well. I don't want you guys to think, okay, we're just mixing drums and that's it, even though we are going to do that. But this pertains to the broad picture, which is the overall record. The most important thing in the record is your vocal, because that the melody, that is what people are going to tune into. Nonetheless, you want a great sounding record. The drums is the number one key thing, and the bass, the drums versus bass. You guys have heard that. If not, I'm going to introduce you to that. Most commonly known as the low end battle. Who wins? Is it the kick? Is it the bass? What is the correct answer? And truth is, there is no correct answer. It's up to you. It's up to you how you feel the record in itself. So we're going to go over that as well. We're going to go over toms, mixing toms, mixing them in, how to mix them in with the actual, the overall drum set. Do we send them to their own auxes, etc. And we're also going to go over parallel compression. A key thing that I want to go over with you guys is reference mixing. Reference mixing meaning when you're mixing, you need records, your favorite records, and compare them, A and B them. That's really gonna tell you where you're at. I'm gonna tell you my favorite records to reference are, for example, Elefunk by the Black Eyed Peas, mixed by Tony Maserati. By far, one of the best mix records that I've heard in a long time. Obviously, everybody has their own opinion, and that's okay. But the way the drums sit on these records is incredible. So if you guys haven't heard it, sit down and listen to how those drums sit in the overall mix. So also that we're gonna go over that as well. So relax. Get a notepad. Get a notepad or in your computer, stickies, whatever you guys want to use. See this as you're in class. Try not to text while you're here. Try not to surf the web while you're here, because this is your career. This is something that we want you to get the most out of. Anything that I miss, let me know. Once again, I'm learning from you guys the same way you guys are learning from me. I'm learning from you guys as well. So that being said, here we go. All right, guys. Here, give me drum session. Nothing super big. And what this is a ballad song. Nonetheless, what I'm gonna play for you right now is just a quick groove, just a drum and bass. But essentially, the reason I do this is that way you guys could have fun with it. That way you guys could hear the different things that you guys could do. And keep in mind that the plugins I have here, you're gonna see it's very limited, and it's a great thing because it forces you to be creative with different things. So usually if you get a drum session beat as a mixer, or if you have it, usually what I like to do after I finish everything, after I'm done editing stuff, or even as a mixer, if I receive this, it's usually gonna look like this. Not I know you guys are familiar with this. Now the whole question goes, as a producer, do you mix while you produce? Do you mix after you produce your record? Which is the right or wrong answer? And once again, like music doesn't have any right or wrong answers. At least I don't believe. Now, the first thing I'm gonna see here is anything that stands out to me as in transient, sorry, wise. And as you see here, first thing here that just literally comes up is you see these transients are much higher, just the obvious thing, than the other ones. Usually, you know, if these spikes go on, is usually the outboard gear, the engineer, whatever that may have happened. So let me listen first. I'm just gonna listen to it. Nothing that stands out to me whatsoever. So I'll just do some. Oh, and actually no. What I'm gonna do here is I'm not gonna I'm not gonna use gain reduction for the whole thing. Essentially, I'm just gonna highlight this, press B, as you guys know, and just bring it down a bit. If you want to be more analytical and actually go one by one, you could do that as well. Whatever it is that you guys feel like, you know, it's perfect. I usually guys want to make it, definitely, but don't make it too perfect either. You know, you guys want to hear, you know, the live thing. So let me just play it for you guys. It's a great little groove. I'm gonna play it with some bass, but we're not gonna focus so much on bass. Nonetheless, at the end, I'm gonna go over on what I do for bass. So here we go. So a lot of room, which is great. There's a lot of room. I hear that stands out. The kick it was a small kick. It was an 18-inch, so that comes to mind. But let's say I didn't know what kind of kick it was. It just, from what the sounds of it, is very, very tiny. So no worries. We're gonna work on that. Let me see here. Let's see anything that. And I'm just gonna start mixing, just rough mixing here. No plugins whatsoever. Love it. Okay, now as you can see here, there's no auxiliaries whatsoever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create an aux for the drums, and I'm gonna talk about gain staging as well, because that's what's gonna help you as well. You know, getting that drums in your face kind of, you know, the sound. You know, the infamous "I want those drums in my face" is not so much okay. Let me compress everything, and no, because then that's just gonna just make everything just sound very tinny and tiny and everything. You're just literally over compressing everything. So let's do that right away. So do a new aux, and what I did here, shortcut, Shift Command N, very easy. And what I'm gonna do is just, and as you can see, this this question came up the last hangout I did. As you can see here, for the plugins, they're grayed out. It's a bug. It's a bug on the OS, on the computers. Obviously, if you've updated your computers, you won't see it. You shouldn't see it, but it's a bug that Avid is still trying to work on for these older OSs. But if you have updated everything, you shouldn't worry about that. So here we go. So I just selected a bus here. Then and I'm gonna try to go over the shortcuts as well. I want you guys to get used to shortcuts and make you know, to the point where you guys don't have to think about it. So here, just highlight it all by clicking Shift, then Shift Option, click on Track, and you're gonna click on, oh, actually I didn't name it, so let me name this right now. Drums, just drums aux. Perfect. And I know you guys know, I just want to go over this with you guys, you know, just the little things, you know, the little house things that I just want you guys to get it on the you know, on the swing of things. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Now, I wanted a -5. I don't want it to go so much over 0, because keep in mind, this is just the beginning stages, rough mixing, you know? And have fun with it, guys. Have fun with mixing. Don't see it as a chore. Feel it out. Feel the record. Keep in mind, and I'm always gonna be just preaching this. This is music. You remember what you fell in love with and just enjoy it. I know you guys heard that like 3 times, so. Great sounding drums. Another thing, that mixing drums, you got the drummer's perspective and the audience perspective. What do I mean by this is simply where you pan, the way you pan your cymbals and your hi-hat. The majority of mixers do it audience view. So what does that mean? So just imagine you as an audience, you see the drums, you put the hi-hat on the right, you put, you know, the right on the left, etc., etc., etc. I'm a drummer, so I love putting it in drummer's perspective. Famous story, George Massenburg. He talks about how he became very close with Jeff Porcaro, one of the all-time great drummers, and he mixed it drummer's perspective, and he appreciated it. I'm telling you, as a drummer, it really doesn't matter to the audience that are listening to it, unless you're a musician, you're listening for that. But just little things, a drummer always enjoys hearing the drums played back that are, and the perspective that he played it. And given that I played on this record, this is me playing drums. I want to imagine how I was playing there. So for example, hi-hat. So right here, as you can see, I soloed this, and these are little things that I want you guys to get used to. I soloed this, and I couldn't hear anything. It's because it's not in solo safe, the aux. So just command. Perfect. Sounds great. Toms. Try to find tom here. Perfect. And also drummers, audience perspective, the toms as well. Tom, the highest tom on the left, going from, not left, but left, tom 2, 3, 4. But if it's audience perspective, then do it the other way around. The highest one will be as if you're seeing the drummer on the right, etc., etc. And I'm not gonna stress over this because we're gonna get into the mixing as well. So I just gonna listen to the drums, any muddiness that I hear. And another thing that I'm listening to is phasing. It's common with up and coming engineers. You lose a lot of bottom end as well. So from what I could hear here, there's no phasing whatsoever. Usually, if you hear phasing, you'll hear unbalanced. It usually makes my head just twist. I know that doesn't make sense to you guys, because I just tell other fellow engineers, I'm like, it's out of phase, and like, how do you know? It just makes, you hear something that's literally out of phase. You could go Google what does that mean. When the wavelengths they cancel each other out. So if you have something out of phase, you literally go get a plugin, any just standard plugin has an out of phase button, and when this plugin, this thing, nope, that's not the one I wanted to open. Give me a sec here. Come on, computer. Here we go. So you could use the in phase. I want to use the most straightforward phase that I could use, just in case any of you guys don't have it. So here, let's just use in phase. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to use. See what we got working here. Oh, there it is. Sorry about that, guys. You guys could see all these grayed out things. That's nope. Let's try this. Perfect. And what here, this one's great because it's an EQ. This one has a out of phase button. Usually, what I usually use these as an overheads. You guys can't hear it, and my apologies for that because we're coming out of speakers. No worries, but when I put them out of phase, it's very subtle, but you could hear how it gets out of balance. It's something that you guys could feel. A great exercise that I used to do is just I would take overheads and put them out of phase, and then you're gonna get used to that. And the important thing is, because if you don't check for these little things, it's gonna become a problem later on, you know. So, and I know there's a lot of plugins that, phasing. I just want to use the most basic one for you guys. That way, if you guys don't have access to these, just use the stock ones. Those usually have a phase, a polarity button. So, now that we got that going, now here we go. Perfect. So it sounds good. Let me see if it... Great sounding drums. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is just start with the overheads. I want that room sound. I want it as natural as possible before adding any reverbs. So usually what I do here, I usually either do the same EQ both, or I create its own bus. So what I'm gonna do here, create an own bus, and I already explained to you guys how I did that. Overheads, do it super quick here. Here we go. Overhead sub. So the first thing I want to do here is pull out that boxiness. Overheads they're gonna bring a boxiness to the picture. So that's usually gonna be around 800. That muddiness, the low mids kind of deal. That's what we want to take out just right off the bat from what I'm listening to right here. So that's just. What I like to do when I EQ, I bring it all the way down. I bring it to its the most I could do, and then I work it out. I work it up and find it okay. What I mean by this, I know I didn't say a lot on this, but what I do is, let's say I want to add some highs, or I want to add more crystally kind of sounds on the cymbals. I take it to the max, and then I bring it back down, because I want to see, okay, this is not how it's obviously going to be. Bring it back down, so. And here, where I wanna hear where I wanna add is around 3K. Make sure that that little valley is not. I don't know if you guys could hear the difference here. Hear the boxiness go away. Perfect. Now that's perfect. Awesome. Now what I'm going to do is compress this. The reason I use compression on the overheads on this is not so much for the control, but when I add everything else, it's gonna add a grit to it as well. I know we're talking about verbs and adding this you know, the whole dimension to it, but we wanna compress. We wanna have control of it as well. Let me see here. See what we got here. Let's see here. Actually, let's use. Sure, why not use the LA? Just because the reason I picked the CLA 3A because it's a bit aggressive. So once again, going up. Another thing, a huge mistake when compressing is a lot of people when they put on the compressor, it tends to be louder, right? And there's a big slippery slope there. There's no way of you knowing how much it's gonna compress. If it's louder, you keep in mind our brains are gonna fool us. If it's louder, your brain automatically thinks it sounds better, and that's not the case. So what I do, I match both levels, both compressed and uncompressed. Perfect. Now what I hear here, now I'm hearing what the compression is doing, bringing out that snare on the tails of the compression of the cymbals. My apologies as well. I listen to the hi-hat. I listen to the cymbals. Perfect. And then I go from there. Really, guys, there's once again, there's no set rules for you guys. You know, just as long as you guys are hearing it, don't get too caught up in, okay, compression, EQ, compression. Sometimes I EQ, compress, EQ, depending on what I'm using as well. And I'm going to go over reference monitors as well, but I'm going to keep this going. Kick and snare. Here, like I said, very tingy, right? So what I would do here in this case, focus on, let me see how this, we got a kick in, kick out. So this is gonna be great. We're here for this kick in. I'm using it just for the transient, just for that hit, just for the beater, the kick beater on the drum head, on the kick head. I'm gonna focus on that. So here I'm gonna focus on the 1 to 3K. And if any of this doesn't make sense, guys, please let me know. I want you guys to learn as much as possible. So here, let me not bring. You know what? Let's keep it basic. Let me just bring in this. Okay, no worries. That way you guys can see, let's say you guys, anybody just has, like, you know, the stock EQs. Let's just use these. Gonna add a little bit of body, not too much, because it needs it. Once again, I'm all about deductive EQing, but once again, you know, this is a tingy kick. Does that make sense? Find that. This I took out. There's a weird harmonic that I heard here. taking it out. It's common thing on in here, give me 1 second here. With live drums, a lot of surgery must be done, but it's okay. Just add that. Perfect. Now, usually what I'll do here for this one, since it's very, 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 thin, what I do, I either two things. I duplicate the track, and the next, for example, let me duplicate it here. Easy thing you could do here is just click duplicate. Yes. And this one, I'm just going to be focusing on the low end as much as I can, because I know the kick, I'm not going to get a lot of it out, but I'm just showing you the method, because if you guys are working with a 22-inch kick, with a 20-inch kick, that could work perfect. Because this is an 18, it's very thin, so that might not be too, but the same strategy applies. That's what I want around there. If worse comes to worse, what I do here is what I do is a sort of a parallel parallel compression here, and what I'll do is I'll compress this one much hotter than the other two kicks, as you can see here. So let me bring out and standard. Let me see what can I use here. Give me a sec. I know this is getting on your nerves. My apologies for that. Let's use for let's just use give me a second here. Oh man, oh Lord. See what we got available here. Okay, no, that's not good. Let's see here. You know what? For matter of time, let's just use just for now. I wouldn't use this on a kick, but once again, there's no rules. So. Something I would also try to do is just A and B them. Compressor first, then EQ, or EQ, then compression. I like this much better. Perfect. Definitely could hear the difference as well. And keep in mind here, it's something I wrote down here that I wanted to tell you guys. With the kicks is depending on what it is. If there's a lot of low end, then it's not about adding more low end. It's just adding that top end as well, as I did with the first kick. You know, it's a lot of, if you don't have the luxury of having, a kick in and a kick out, or even with electronic drums, then just duplicate the track. And focus on the highs, just that 1 to 4K, that transient, and then the second duplicate, the second track, I should say, focus on the lows on in that case as well. So that's on the kick, and any questions, once again, just let me know as well. For the snare here, it sounds great. Great sounding snare right here. What I do is not so much surgically add EQ or nothing. What I use here is something I've used when mixing this track is this plugin by Soundtool is called Decapitator, and what that brings in is saturation. Is saturation? Let me see if we got it here. It doesn't seem like it. Saturation is something that you could use while mixing. Saturation is your friend. Keep that in mind. Saturation involves rich collection of harmonics. What do I mean by that? It adds extra harmonics, enhances low frequencies, and enhances high frequency harmonics as well. So any questions you guys have in regards to that, definitely I could I could let you guys know. Something before time runs out, I would go over reverb as well, because you will have to add some reverb, of course. Let's name this reverb. Add reverb here. Where we got? Let's just use air reverb promote. Okay, that's not too happy with us. Deverb? Yes, perfect. Awesome. So this reverb, we're gonna send it. Usually, you could do two things: either send it from the drum mix, but keep in mind it's gonna send all of your drums to there, or you could do it individually. So what I'm gonna do here in this case, do it individually. Let's assign a bus to that. Let's get a send here. Drum aux. Let's do this for now, but obviously they're not all gonna have here, and I inactivated. Oh nope, just kidding. I hear edit, and the way to fix that, if that happens, no worries, just not this one. Mix window. Here we go. There it is, perfect. Inactivate them all the way I did that. For sans, for any plugins, Shift, Control, Option, Command. There it is, perfect. So I won't use all of those. For snare, I will. And actually sent it to here. Give me 1 second here. For some reason, there it is, perfect. Just from what I heard right now, I love this reverb on the snare, so I'm gonna focus on that for right now. And love the EQ, the EQ. I'm sorry, the verb. From what I hear right now, is a little bit hollow. So what I'm gonna do here is simply EQ the reverb, which there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Perfect. Awesome. I love it. So keep in mind, this is from the beginning. What I love about these this particular set I was using is I focus on making sure it sounded great from the beginning. That way, when you're mixing, you don't have to worry about it a lot. But keep in mind, a lot of surgery has to be done sometimes, and that's okay. What you want is something clean. You want it to be as clean as possible. Make sure those frequencies aren't hitting each other. And the way you do that is just by listening. Make sure you take off the muddiness of it. And the way I showed you guys how I did it, taking off that muddiness, we want it to be as clear as possible, because keep in mind, we're still going to be constructing it as we're adding more instruments. But even from this, perfect, awesome. And it wasn't this, I'm not just gonna show you guys this, it wasn't in jam, it was actually in a session. Let me show you guys the actual, it was a ballad, which I'm sure you guys can enjoy listening to the ballad instead of this. But this is great, because now we're gonna focus on the toms on this. On the toms on this. So let's do that now. And once again, guys, any questions you guys have, let us know, and I'll definitely answer it at the end of this segment. Here we go. Let's loop this, make sure we're good here. Awesome. What I hear from the beginning here, this tom. What I hear, and I'm not sure if you guys could hear it, but there's some ringing overtones on that tom. It's around the 5K to 8K. What I'll do is just, once again, what I've done on the other things, just take it out. Now, keep in mind, I don't want to kill it, so you don't want to kill the tom whatsoever. So also be careful. I might, because I want to emphasize the stick hitting the actual head, I might add a little bit on the 1K. Here I get 1.5, not too much. Let's listen to this with some reverb. Love it. Now, what I will do here is compress, because we're using it, because of it's just because of time. I'll just bring in this. Perfect. I hope you guys could hear that. I hope you guys could hear the differences on just these little tweaks, and that's how it is, guys. Parallel compression just brings out the extra grit, the in your face, and the way you don't want to over mix it. You want to over compress your original source whatsoever. You don't want to let one compressor do all the work as well. So parallel compression is a great method to using this. Also, letting each compressor do, have a little bit of workload, not a lot, and the way you see it is on the needle. The needle will tell you, hey, I'm hitting it, like, there's something going on here. Sometimes it's a great thing to do, but in these stages, try not to do that. Try to get into the habit of letting each compressor do its thing, one by one, and it definitely, you'll hear the difference. And also in the gain staging, if you notice, by me mixing and adding these extra elements at the drum aux, I'm already at I'm at unity. I try to keep it here, down here. If you want to hear it louder, if you're like, man, I want to hear those drums louder, first of all, try not to mix too loud. Try to mix medium to low levels. Why? Because your ears are gonna get burned out. And as you know, mixing one song, it's about a 5 to 6, maybe 5 to 7 hours of just listening and going back and forth. Obviously, when I say 5 to 7 hours, I don't want you to be like, wow, I'm gonna sit in front of my screen for 5 to 7 hours. No, you're gonna be mixing the record for like 4 hours, 3-4 hours, then you let it go. Next day, listen back, listen to other speakers as well, which brings me to the last point here, which is the mixing advice. And that's what I wanted to focus with you guys as well. A lot of questions come in and like, well, which monitor should I buy? Which consoles, all these great, all these things, all these great questions. My go-to is simple. It's just 2 speakers per se. The first pair of monitors that I have to have when I'm mixing are the Yamaha NS10s. And the reason is, it's a lot of people, are like, yeah, no, but it's like, it gives you a real tone. It gives you a real sound. As in, what do I mean by these are now, especially nowadays, these are like the only monitors that are going to be left that are actually, that are not powered, that need an amp. Now everything, KRK is bringing great, which is all these great all these great monitors are great for producing, but for mixing, the last thing you want to do is listening to the monitors and it sounds great, and then you go to your car and the bass is too loud, bass is too low. From my experience, the NS10s have been down the middle. And number 2 is the ABLETONEs, small speakers. I don't have those. I have those actually powered. So they're the ABLETONEs, which is great. If you have a chance, get those ABLETONEs. They sound like, put it nicely, they sound like trash, and they should sound like trash. Famous stories. Bruce Sweeting, his final mixes, he will send them on the ABLETONEs, and I think he was ahead of his time, because especially now, nobody's gonna be listening. I mean, not nobody, but the majority of your listeners are on earbuds. The majority of your listeners are on your laptop speakers. So if you compare laptop speakers to the ABLETONEs, they're pretty much dead on as well. So look into those. If there's another pair of speakers that I like are the Adams, the AX7s, the AF5. Those are great as well. But my go-tos are NS10s and the ABLETONEs. And if you guys have any questions on where to find those, also let me know as well. As I kept telling you, there's no right or wrong answer. Obviously, I could go in and just keep digging into this song, but I want you guys to go on and open a session right now and see, okay, where can I fix this? Take off all your plugins, everything. When you're mixing, if you have a plugin on that is effect based, if it's part of the instrument, make sure you print that. What I mean by this, turn it, if it's MIDI, obviously bust it out, turn it into real audio. If it's something that it's part of your sound, then bust it out and make it into a stereo stem or a mono stem. Why? Because you don't want to send sessions to, let's say, to mixers. If you're not going to mix a song as a producer, you don't want to send it to them with plugins that are going to affect your sound, because what if that mixer doesn't have that plugin? So think of it like that. And also, when you think of it like that and you actually print all your audio with the effect, etc., etc., effect not meaning reverb. I don't want you to confuse you guys on that. Let's say you have a synth that you add some distortion to it, and that's part of the sound. Print it with the distortion on it. Make sure it's not clipping whatsoever, of course, but if it's part of the artifact, if it's an artifact that you have to have, make sure you print it. That way when you're mixing, your plugins are actually mix based as well. When you guys are mixing as well, try to start off either with drums, because it's low end, and vocals. What I do is either start with drums and start building from there. I usually go drums, bass, vocals, or I usually start with vocals. I make sure I sit the vocals right. Usually when I start vocals, when I'm just been mixing a lot and it's a new day, I'm like, all right, I need to change my routine. And that's another thing, just in life in general. If you're doing something a lot, try to change it up. That just automatically does wonders to your brain. It's like, okay, start mixing with your vocals, because the vocals are the most important thing. So you mix with the vocals, you start, and then you add the snare, make sure that's sitting right, be creative with it, and have a lot of fun. Let me see if I'm missing anything. No, that's great. I said make sure the balance is great, make sure your ratios are good between singers and the drummer, and the drums, bass. Let's see if I'm missing. Feel the vibe of the song, and have fun. I can't say that enough, or else it's gonna take a toll on you, especially mixing the same song. You're listening to the same song for 3-4 hours. Try to make a limit. Don't go over 4 hours mixing one song. Trust me, just don't do it. Try to take a break, or even after 2 hours, find your rhythm, come back with fresh ears. The goal is to have the goal is to have as fresh of an ear as possible, even after you've been working for a while. So go to get some coffee, just try not to listen to music, try to sit down for like 15 minutes and then get back to it. Try not to haul everything at once whatsoever. So yeah, guys, so any questions you guys have, let me know. Let me see, Jonathan, let me see who else. Another question here. Here we go. Why don't you like the 3 on the kick, and what would you okay, gotcha. What would you rather use instead, and why? Okay, great question. The Mic DSP, I love using the Mic DSP stuff, the Pultec, especially on kicks as well, just for warmth. As I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Paul, but I was talking about it in the video, that kick was very tingy. It was very tingy, so I needed warmth. The LA3A tends to be very harsh, which is great. I love the LA3. Don't get me wrong. On vocals, I just getting that grit, but I'm looking for warmth on the kick. But from what we had, that's what we're using on that. Let me see. Let me see what else we got here. Paul Raymond, can you upload these so we could hear it in our studio monitors? Definitely, I'll get working on that. And also, you guys could email me as well at emenjivar@rrf.edu. Any questions as well? Anything in regards to sessions? I know you guys would like to get your hands on those. Definitely, let me know. Jonathan, is there a way to remove unwanted background noise feedback from recordings? Great question. So what I do is I do it the long way. What do I mean by this is what I do is I literally go transient by transient, I solo a track and I listen. I do it manually. You could do it through if you just create a strip silencer, just Command U. That'll help you as well. That'll give you a general sense as well. And then if it's cutting off something that you need, you could just drag it out. But manually as well. It depends how much patience you have. It depends how much how you're feeling that day. Not every day I feel like I'm a music editor, so I'll just strip silence them, go through them, and then work from there. Yeah, just use that. Make it easier on yourself. But make sure you're not forgetting anything. Jonathan here, can you explain the basics of parallel compression and what it does? Of course. So as you know, compression, right, where we're controlling the sound, for parallel compression, what it is, the definition of it is where we get into two of the same signals, right? Hence parallel. We get the dry, for lack of a better term right here, the dry, very light parallel signal, and then we got the heavy compressed signal. And the reason we're doing that, why? Because we don't want to cut off some peaks, some of the high peaks of the signal, be it the drums. Usually you're going to see this in drums, bass, and vocals. Usually you're going to see that. So what parallel compression does is it brings out the low range of let's say any of the grid of drums, the low range. By definition, if you guys look it up, it'll bring up the low, how could I explain this? The low, bring up the softest, not lowest, but the softest sounds of be it percussion, and then it brings them up. It brings it up in your face. Keep in mind, we're basically squashing the dynamic range, and especially for these pop records, that's why you have that in your face sound, you know, when you have in your face without it choking. Usually parallel compression is also used when I'm not sure if you guys have been mixing for how long, but sometimes when your meters are hot and you hear it and it doesn't sound as loud as you want it to be, and then you hear other records that are not as hot as yours and there's much louder. And usually because you're bringing these low dynamic ranges, you're bringing it up, you're squashing a bit more in a controlled fashion. You can only get so much by compressing that first signal. Parallel compression is really good for bringing that out, for really bringing it in your face, that in your face vocal. That is it's very difficult to get with just one signal per se. Okay, let me see. All right, who do we have next? I think okay. Paul Raymond. NS10s. Yes, NS10s. I'm all about the NS10s. Okay. I always use parallel compression, but to add to Jonathan's question, what is the difference between parallel compression and wet and dry mix knob? I know Native Instruments Supercharger GT has a wet. So wet and dry it pertains much more for a plugin. Wet and it's for example in reverbs, you're gonna see this is how much of that of that particular plugin you want in the actual signal. If you're not using it in an aux, of course. If you're using it in its direct module, that's really where it changes. Parallel compression is much different, given that you're dealing with two signals. You're dealing with two signals. I know some plugins do it, but I haven't used them. I don't know how how much it would work. I haven't seen any mixers do that, but yeah, much plugins is much more the wet and dry is how much of the plugin you want, how much of the sauce you want per se. I don't know. Let me see. And if I don't answer the question, let me know. Hey, I still don't get it. And trust me, I was the guy in class, sadly, where I was just like, I don't get it. I would always raise my, I don't get it. Tell me, explain it more. And that's how you learn. Period. Okay. In parallel compression, that is, Jonathan. In parallel compression, that is, it also bring more dynamic sounds down. Depending, it will bring it down as in it will sandwich it in. It will bring it much into your face, give you that control, that grittiness, that pop that pop in the drums, you know, when you want it to just pop through the mix without compromising with any other things, it'll definitely do that. So don't always use parallel compression as well. So that's actually a great point, Jonathan. See, William, do you have to add a compressor to the whole drum mix even though most of the instrument may or may not be compressed? Yes and no. This is why. Because if you don't have a compressor in the whole no, actually no, I take it back. No, yes. This is why. Because if you don't have a compressor in your mix bus, in your drum mix per se, that means you're using a lot of compression with each module, which means that you're really making that compressor work a lot. And the whole point what I was mentioning earlier is like, we don't want these compressors to do too much work, because then you're just gonna get that squash. I know you guys hear it when you guys hear that all of a sudden you just hear that ducking, right? We don't want that, because then, you know, you lose a lot of elements. We want it as controlled as possible. We want that controlledness. Why? Because everybody's listening out of their phone, you know, that, you know, you're not going to get a lot of dynamic range out of that. Think about your consumer. Think about who's listening to this record. Not everybody has these huge, you know, these huge budgets for these speakers. So think about that as well. And do you guys have any other questions? Doesn't seem. Thanks for the info. Yes. Wayne, what is the general level you would have for this mix via the VU meter? So usually when I'm still in the drums, I'm still under under 0. I'm like a -3, -2. That's where I wanted a good healthy level, because I still gotta work more, right? We gotta work on drum. Yeah, gotcha. We still gotta work with extra instruments as well. So keep it there. Obviously, you guys don't have to. Keep in mind, when Pro Tools 10 came about, Pro Tools can really handle over 0. It can really handle the red. But we don't want to get to that at such an early stage. So yeah, that's where I'm usually seeing it. I'm seeing it. Paul Raymond. I'm using DBU actually. Yeah. And that is it. Thanks you guys so much. Thanks you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Anything that you guys want me to improve on, anything that you guys want me to go over with you guys, let me know. I'm excited. I'm excited for the turnout. I'm excited for you guys actually, you know, being engaging, and I'm excited to see you guys again. Take care, make great music, and have a great, fantastic weekend. Always make sure have time for yourselves during the weekend or whenever you guys have free. Always make time for you. That way you could inspire yourself to get back to music and remind yourself of what we really do this for. So take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
Click subscribe to stay up on the latest from the Recording Connection.